What's going on, guys? It's All Things Sports back here again. Avid Clemson fan. Super excited for this one. Reviewing the game of the week. If you don't think it's the game of the week, it's top two game of the week for the first full week of college football with two of the top 10 teams in the nation. Number 4 and number 9. Both Tigers, both Death Valley, and both great programs. So, I do want to start with LSU, so I'll break them down first. But at the same time, I also want to say that I think this game has major implications for both teams going forward. Clemson in a very weak conference. You lose this, you're judged the rest of the year for it. That's just how it is. And then you have to beat South Carolina and have to hope they're a good team. LSU, one of the harder schedules in college football, if we just go ahead here and take a look at it. You start off the year with number 4. You play 15, 21, 13, 19, 8, and then 18. I don't think all these teams will be ranked, but there's a few toss-up games in here. I could see them going down to Florida, South Carolina, Alabama, and also they play Clemson. So if you go down in all of those, that's 4 losses. You're done. This will probably be the year that we see a 9-3 non-conference champ or non-conference runner-up make the playoff. I just see the talent is very evenly dispersed in the league right now. So for this breakdown, I'll touch on LSU, then Clemson, and then what I think is going to transpire in the game together. Like I said, I am a Clemson fan, but I have no bias in this game whatsoever. I'll have bias once I walk into the stadium at probably as soon as the gates open on Saturday. Very excited for this one, though. If you want to look here, the spread, we're favored by 4, high over under. But if you see here, the analysis is 54%, which is pretty even for it being at home. The first thing I want to touch on for LSU is their returning production. Um, you see here they have 4 offense, 3 on the defense. And another thing I want to point out on LSU, no hate to this guy, great quarterback. And it's just going to be a different point that I'm going to touch on for later on is his interceptions rates. So they bring back a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, and their center. That's probably very beneficial for them, at least the center portion. Aaron Anderson, I'm pretty sure, yes, his brother Nick Anderson transferred in. Not sure if they're actually brothers. I just know that LSU got another guy named Anderson in the wide receiver room. If they are brothers, that's really cool, actually. 3 on defense, linebacker, cornerback, and safety. So secondary should be good, and they're going to need to be good going up against Clemson. Everybody knows that Clemson has one of, if not the best, wide receiver rooms in the nation. The deepest. I mean, all 3 of their starters are just guys who are going to give you a hard time. So I'm going to flip back and forth from Clemson to LSU. So for the returning production, and this is from CBS Sports, or CBS Sports, so if it's missing a guy or two, that's on them, not on me. I did not make this list. This is where you start to see a gap. We just looked at LSU. I'll give you another look back right here. 7 guys, 4 offense, 3 defense. Then we go to Clemson. 16 guys, 3rd highest in the nation. 8 on offense, 8 on defense. You look, you see the quarterback, you see Cade, you see 3 wide receivers, you see a left tackle, a center, a right guard, a right tackle. 4 out of the top 5 guys are still there. You go to the defense, you see a D-line, a defensive end, a linebacker, another linebacker, a corner, a safety. You're missing 3 guys on both sides of the ball. Not to mention Clemson's running back is still there, their new running back. But you just see the level of talent returning. And this is the first game of the season. If people don't want to say it, I'll be the one to say it, even if the roles were reversed. If I'm an LSU fan, or if LSU had 16 guys versus 7, I know we've been through off-season training, fall camp, and now we're going into the first game of the year. There is no practice that is exactly like a game. And you want to go out there with guys that you have clicked with in the past, and this is where it's going to give Clemson an edge in the sense that they know each other, especially the quarterback to wide receivers. They know each other. They know how each other play. They know what's going to happen. They know who they can go to. The offensive line knows their quarterback. They want to protect them, and this will bring me to another point I want to point out about LSU, which is why we see Garrett Nussmeier throwing 12 interception, because he was just getting absolutely destroyed last year in the pocket and trying to force some throws and make some wild throws that just weren't clicking. Um, so 16 guys coming back from Clemson. Obviously, if you have a brain, this gives them an edge. So the next point I want to touch on, we are looking at the transfer portal rankings. You see Texas Tech playing around with some change in first, and then who's second? It is LSU, and this is by On3 Sports, and so is the next one that I'm going to show. So we look at who LSU have brought in. Two new corners, which is great, especially the challenge that they're facing against this top wide receiver room. We see defensive line, edge, edge, edge. So they pretty much replaced their whole defensive line. And then we got offensive line, punter, quarterback, safety, safety, tight end. Here's the 3 wide receivers. So let's touch on this one at a time. They bring in some pretty solid defense, some experienced guys, 4 3-star, a couple 3-stars, and then a 4-star from Texas, from Florida State, from Florida. They've been going against high talent. This corner, 4-star, coming from Virginia Tech. If you are a Clemson fan, you remember the play Cade made on him last year. We don't have to talk about it. You got a 4-star corner coming out of Florida. I mean, these are 2 high-quality players regardless. I mean, number 6 in the position, number 57. So these are some good guys, some key additions that will help you in guarding that receivers. But like I said, they can't stay out there all game just like the receivers can. So it really depends on whose room is deeper. The defensive line, going up against an experienced offensive line, and I'm not going to be biased in any way and say that our offensive line didn't have any flaws last year. It did. Cade was getting pressured, had to make some plays with his legs, but they can't hold for 15 seconds. We have the best offensive line coach in the nation, maybe even ever, in Matt Luke. One of the best hires Dabo Swinney's ever made, if not the best. But I do see them getting to Cade a few times. It's just a matter if they can make a play on it before he can use his legs. So then we're going to move on to the offensive line for them. And like I said, they're going against one of the best D-lines in the country. It's just known by everyone. You look at Peter Woods, you look at Trey Parker. Those are just the big names. Those are 2 top 10 picks if they fall top 15 in the draft next year as juniors. Like, you're going against high quality guys. Like I said earlier, this is not the game where you want to test out, do we work well together? If they got the reps in, they got the reps in, but that's really where it all is determined. And then safeties, don't know too much about these guys, both 4-stars, so they have to be pretty good at what they do. But like I said, it seems like they're loaded up and prepared for this Clemson receiver room. And then we go to the 3 wide receivers they added. Nick Anderson, Destin Hill, and Barian Brown. Obviously, 2 names stick out to me, is Barian Brown and Nick Anderson. Both great wide receivers. Destin Hill, I don't know too much about. He was at Florida State. Probably wasn't too good last year due to the fact they had an absolutely horrible quarterback. But Barian Brown is someone who scares me. Why does he scare me? Because this dude is insanely fast. I think I saw Garrett Nussmeier said that no one runs over a 4.4 in their wide receiver room, which is absolutely nuts, a 4.4. And I think this will be Clemson's biggest defensive test. I think with the hire of Tom Allen, I think this defensive line, the linebackers, they are going to go kill people. They are going to tackle you, which if you remember watching Clemson last year, they struggled with tackling. They struggled with running defense. Anybody with a good running back that could bounce to the side is gone. We saw it in almost every game. Actually, maybe every game, even the games where we played the horrible teams. You saw it happen against Georgia, the first game of the year. Close game all the way until half. And then you see their freshman running back discover the side of the field, and he gets 100 yards in the second half, if not more. We see it in the Louisville game. That's why we lost there. We see Lenore Sellers absolutely destroy our whole defense because no one could tackle the guy. We see Texas if Texas didn't have those two huge run plays, could Clemson have made it further in the college football playoff? Probably. If they learned how to tackle, our offense was trying to do as best they could. We just need a few stops on defense. Couldn't get that. So, honestly, as a Clemson fan, I think it'll flip-flop this year. I think Tom Allen has put a sense of urgency inside that defense, especially all the guys knowing that it is their last year, or, well, most of them knowing that it is probably their last year, are going to want to hit people. They're going to want to attack. And I don't think we'll have to worry as much about the run defense. I think we'll have an easy time getting to the quarterback. Not so sure about this game, but we'll have to see how their offensive line holds up the first few snaps. Our secondary is fantastic. I think we have a great secondary. We have Lewis. We have Khalil Barnes running the safeties. We have Avion Terrell as the corner. But these three guys, and they also have a returning receiver, are going to give us challenges. It's not about do we have good guys. It's about do we have fast guys. This is really going to test us, and it's also going to test this defensive line. If our defensive line can get to Garrett Nussmeier, he's going to make mistakes. We saw it last year. If we can get past that offensive line and get to him before he can hit one of these guys on a streak route, we will be fine. So I do want to touch on Clemson's depth chart a little bit because we touched on their returning talent and everything, but I do want to touch on. We'll start with the defense just because that's what I was talking about at first. So let's look at our defensive line. We got T.J. Parker on the edge, Peter Woods at defensive tackle, DeMonte Capehart, who I'm not sure if people think that he just disappeared off the face of the earth, but I've barely heard anybody say his name recently at right defensive tackle. And then we have Will Helt, Purdue transfer, absolute stud. Excited to see what he can do at the DN. Sammy Brown, Wade Woodaz, Avion Terrell, Kylan Griffin, Khalil Barnes, Ashton Hampton, Sheldon Lewis. If you are a Clemson fan, you know at least 4 or 5 of those guys that I just named, just based off the name alone, where they're projected to go next year in the draft. And then I want to start talking a little more about the second string, because football is an hour-long game where people get tired, and regardless if you don't get tired, someone gets rolled up on, needs a break, or we are lacking a sense of urgency. We need to attack. So what do? Cade Dinkoff, stud. Vic Burnley, stud. But I know he's dealt with some injuries. Hopefully he's healthy. I'm not sure, not positive. Amari Adams, one of the most highly recruited freshmen D tackles in the nation. Jaheim Lawson, brother of Shaq Lawson, absolutely been getting praised after fall camp. Jeremiah Alexander, Alabama transfer. D. Creighton, Brandon Strozer, Ricardo Jones, stud. Tyler Venables, stud. Cheaton Lucas, Masoon Kelly. We have guys. We don't just have first string. We have guys in the second string. I think that 3 or 4 of these guys in the second string could be playing starting on other Power 4 schools. I think you could put Ricardo Jones in that category. I think you could put Jeremiah Alexander, Jaheim Lawson, Amari Adams could probably walk somewhere and start as a freshman if he wanted to. Vic Burley has the talent. And that's just our backups. So I think that we have the talent there defensively, and I think that is really what is going to determine this game is defense. Both of the offense have studs. We see LSU, we see Clemson returning the main skill positions or bringing them in. So we know they have the guys, but do they have the guys to stop the other guys on defense? And I think this is where the game differentiates a lot from Clemson to LSU. LSU's bench depth is nothing like Clemson's, and Clemson is far more talented on defense. Does that mean that they couldn't absolutely expose everything I'm saying, expose this talented defense? No. They could. It's all about who shows up at the end of the day. We saw that with UNLV the first week. They almost lost to an FCS school. We know that that's how this game goes. But on paper, Clemson has a far more talented defense, And if you look back to last year, you see LSU struggle a lot, especially in the secondary, and that's not somewhere where you want to struggle against Clemson. And this could also be a good thing for them because they brought in a lot of the secondary. We saw the two corners, the two safeties, and the returning. I think they had a returning corner and safety. But let's move on to the offense for Clemson. We'll take a look at the three starting wide receivers who could be number one wide receivers on other Power Four schools. Just want to point that out. We'll get into the depth in a second. T.J. Moore, absolute stud. Bryant Westco, stud. Antonio Williams, stud. Tristan Lee, graduate, final year, highly anticipated to go get drafted. I think he'll have a great year. Colin Sadler, redshirt junior. Ryan Lithicum, graduate. Walker Parks, graduate, and Blake Miller, senior, who's been starting since he was a freshman. Pat Henry, think he'll be good. There was a game, I forgot what game exactly last year. He showed a lot of promise. He had 2 touchdowns in one game and had an absolute, I think it was a 40-yard touchdown. Pretty good, pretty solid player. He looks like he'll be a great blocker. I hadn't got to see him too much, but very excited to see how this tight end room goes. Then we have Cade Klubnik, Heisman favorite, and Adam Randall, the wide receiver who's shifted into a running back as the starting running back for Clemson. It's already been announced. This depth chart isn't all totally announced, but this part is. Then we have David. I call him Ezzo because I don't want to mess up his last name. Gideon Davidson, Jay Haynes, Keith Adams Jr. 3 of these running backs could go start somewhere else, especially in the ACC. And the way that you can use this running back room for Clemson could also be a key factor in this game. Who can run the ball? We all know that Cade Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeier can pass the ball. I think that is why they are both highly favored to win the Heisman, because everybody in the country knows that they are 2 good and respected players with 2 wide receiver rooms who can get them a Heisman trophy. But who's going to be able to run the ball between Clemson and LSU? You have 5 guys right here who can go out here and make a play, and I think Jay Haynes is injured. It's him or Keith Adams Jr., so one of those 2 are injured. But Gideon Davis, a Travis Etienne-like running back freshman, who if you look at him, he does not look like a freshman. He is built. Ezzo, stiff, kind of looks a little short, but very stocky. Could run someone over and leave you in the dust. Adam Randall, same weight, same height as Derrick Henry. Great with his hands. A wide receiver. Could be a threat in the screen game or in the run game. He's a running back now, so we could see 4 on the outside at wide out, and then we have him making a play on the ground, and he can run past you. He can juke you out. He's shifty. He can get past the guy. He can knock a guy over. Cade Klubnik can make a play with his legs, make a play in the air. There's not anything that's really striking as bad on this offense. We take a look at the second string, Cole Turner. That's an insanely fast guy who can jump up and make a play. Tristan Smith, 6'4", 6'5", I believe, transfer coming in, who is ready to play. Best player in the spring game is hands down Tristan Smith. Tyler Brown, Clemson's leading receiver from 2 years ago. Everyone seems to forget about him. Clemson's leading receiver 2 years ago. Who was the quarterback? Cade Klubnik. They have the chemistry. They are ready. So, look, if we bring 4 guys out, Tyler Brown's probably going to come in here and come in this slot because I believe he's the shortest out of all these guys. But he's going to come in here. He's going to make a play, and he's going to hurt LSU. Braden Jacobs, freshman. Elijah Thurman, I'm pretty sure he's back from his ACL. They got guys everywhere. Clemson has guys everywhere, and they have them in the spots where LSU's weakness is, which is from basing off last year. I haven't seen them play this year, so we'll see come Saturday evening. They have guys in wide receiver. Where was LSU sorry at last year? Secondary. Where was LSU sorry at on offense last year? Offensive line. If you see this starting defense coming at you, if you're any team in the nation, you're shaking your boots just a little bit. I would believe so. Just with the likes of Wood and Parker. And then you want to go down the line, you probably got a top 20 draft pick for next year, and will help. A top 15 draft pick for the year after that, Sammy Brown leaving as a junior. Avion Terrell, maybe a top 30 pick this year. If he stays another year, maybe a top 20. Clemson has the talent for this game, and I think that's why everyone has them favored, and I think that's why they have the spread in this game. I know it's at home, but I just don't think LSU matches up well with Clemson. And one thing I do want to touch on before, and I don't know as much about LSU, but I do want to touch on for Clemson, and this is the thing that is keeping me the most optimistic for this game and for this season. Clemson has the talent of a team that could win the national championship. But it all comes down to the coaching. Clemson hired Tom Allen, fantastic defensive coordinator, probably the best guy we could have hired. Matt Luke's third year, you can see the offensive line change. Dabo Swinney, legendary coach. There's one guy I hadn't touched on yet, and we saw it last year. Garrett Riley. And people think that Dabo might be helping him with the play calls, which I think could be a possibility as well. Or he could be influencing him a little too much, because I don't see how you make the national championship with TCU and have that offense absolutely explosive and then come here and be conservative. And I know they got destroyed by Georgia in the national championship, but they still got there. Will Clemson's offense be conservative? With the guys that I just explained to you in the running back and the quarterback and the wide receiver room, I don't see a single offensive coordinator on the face of planet Earth that would want to be conservative. You have guys, you have backup guys, you have everyone that can go out and make a play. So use them. I think Clemson's coaching could be the reason they win or lose this. But I think the talent is the reason why they win this game in Death Valley on Saturday. The real Death Valley, may I add. I think Clemson has a fantastic roster. I think LSU does too. I'm very excited to see how LSU plays the rest of the year after this game, because I do think that LSU will lose this game, and that's just non-biased. Clemson is the far more talented team, and I think if LSU lose this, they shouldn't get criticized too much just because of the team Clemson is on paper. And if Clemson does lose this game, LSU should be praised and applauded, and Clemson should start questioning what's going on. That should have been our game. We should have won that, because just due to the talent difference. So, with that being said, I think this all comes down to the talent on the field and the coaching. Clemson has the coaches to make it happen. Extremely excited to see the new defensive coordinator in the game, during the game. And Garrett Riley, I hope he comes out aggressive. If he comes out aggressive, I could see Clemson winning by 2 or 3 touchdowns. All honesty. If we use our weapons, I could see that happening. So, hopefully all the coaches are on board, all the players are on board. We're ready to come out aggressive, something to prove, hunger, especially after that Texas game. And I know LSU's the same. You see their scoreboards, you see they're saying it's Death Valley Juniors. They already have the 1-0 on their phones, on the scoreboards at practice, everything. So I think this will be a great game. Super excited to attend. In my opinion, game of the week, just with the implications. I think Ohio State and Texas both probably will be okay if they lose, but I think this could end up hurting LSU and Clemson if they lose. With that being said, I would take the Clemson Tigers in this one. This is definitely the longest preview that I will do, just because I have a little more knowledge on this game, because it's such a hyped up game. My favorite team, Clemson, taking on LSU. So I did a little more research on LSU. But this isn't game day, unfortunately. It would have been great to have it in Memorial Stadium at night. But Ohio State and Texas is also a great game to watch at noon on this day. Thank you guys for watching. This will close off my preview / prediction, and I'm going to take Clemson to win the game. Thank you for watching. Drop below where you agree, disagree, or who you think will win this game. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.